A product in Activate can have multiple vendors associated with it. First, we need to go to the product window. Then we would look up our product. Then we'll click on the Vendors tab to see all the vendor information. So here you can see that product B15 has multiple vendors associated with it. One of them, Martin Office, is designated as the preferred vendor. Whether you have one vendor or multiple vendors for a product, it's always strongly recommended that you designate one of them as the preferred vendor. The information we see here is the vendor name, the vendor product ID, the lead time in terms of days, the price that you would purchase it from, the last PO date, the last PO quantity, the last PO price, the last PO unit, last received date, last received quantity, last received unit, the vendor's address, and finally a note for the vendor. That is a pop-up note. So let's say I want to add another vendor here. I would click Edit, click on the vendor name field, use the lookup to find a vendor. Optionally, I can give it a vendor product ID. If I have a lead time, I could fill that in. In this case, I'm going to put in a price. If I fill in a price, Activate will always use this when you create a purchase order. If I don't fill it in, Activate will default to the last purchase price. So now I can click Save, and I've added our vendor Dixon at the bottom here. I gave this vendor a vendor product ID of B10-EA, which signifies that we will pay $1 each. We have the ability to add Dixon again as another vendor record as long as the vendor product ID is different from the one that's currently on here. So I'm going to click Edit. I'm going to click Dixon. And I have to give it a unique vendor ID. It could be blank because that is different than B10EA, but I'm going to give it B10DZ to represent a dozen. And the reason I am going to do that is because I'm going to have a different price for that. So I'm going to say that the price is $10 if I purchase in a dozen. And now I will click Save. Now keep in mind, you can manually add these vendors as I did, or if I add this product to a purchase order for a new vendor, Activate will automatically add that vendor record here.